Hello everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Dice and Dudes, a weekly D&D game where a bunch of us friends get together and now finish a 3.5-year-old D&D campaign. We will be starting a new one though, so don't worry too much about that. We'd like to once again to thank our sponsors for this, David's Towels and Terrain and Military Gamer Supply. For announcements from Military Gamer Supply?
Military Gamer Supply, we've got Friday Night Magic coming up this week. We have Friday Night HeroClix tournament coming up as well. Open Gaming any day that ends in Y. At the end of the month, we've got our GT. It's already sold out. Thanks, guys, for buying your spots. Appreciate it. And we have the HeroClix Rock. That's the Wizards of the Coast tournament. Or not Wizards of the Coast, the WizKids tournament for qualifying for Nationals, right?
Yeah, it's kind of like our GT for 40K, but it's got like qualifying for like bigger tournaments.
So space is limited for the qualifying rock. Sign up if you want to play some HeroClix.
All right. Announcements for David's Towels and Terrain. Currently working on a couple of projects. Got a few things up on eBay right now, including the three-dimensional zombie-side buildings that were a big part of International Tabletop Day a few weeks ago. So if you want to get your hands on those, either hit me up on eBay and look for 3D zombie-side buildings, or message me directly. When that runs out, I will go ahead and get with you and send them to you that way. So go ahead and hit me up for that. Also like to give thanks to Lindy at Game Vault for giving me this shirt. I love it. Thank you. It's nice and comfy and feels so good. If you guys want a shirt, they sell them. Go in there, pick them up, have yourself a good time. Yeah, while you're there, play some games and do whatever else you're going to do. I think that's it for us, right? Think we're ready to get in?
We have Shadowrun with...
Oh, and our Rotmere Thundergut is currently running a Shadowrun game Friday nights. If you want to get in, get a seat, and see what Shadowrun's all about. Before the Cyberpunk 2077 craze hits, you can play Shadowrun and say to all the kids next year that you were playing Cyberpunk before it was cool.
That's Game Vault Friday nights with Fall Shelter.
Yeah, and any other information you need, you can get with us on Dice and Dudes, and we will send those questions or anything else directly to Paul Schulte. Anything else we got? I think that's it for me. Nothing else? Okay, tonight's game session is going to be a special kind of free-form style session, as this is ending our 3.5-year campaign that started as nothing more than a simple 3-shot game session. Yes.
That.
Oh,
It is a little on the loud side.
okay. So,
Yeah,
let
reach
me
it.
turn it down just a little bit. That's a little loud.
Like before you get going on your epic
Everybody
narrative.
gets to see David's behind.
Yeah, I know, right?
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Point blank, baby.
Let me
go back to
right?
that.
That's not nearly as loud, right?
Yeah, it's fine.
I'm just worrying about the mic.
Okay.
I haven't said
So hopefully that was better and everybody can hear everything just right. But this is going to be a very special game session. Last game session was the culmination of the group coming after Strahd, taking the fight to him to finally defeat him. And what was supposed to be a 3-game session, a one-shot that has turned into over 175 game sessions over the span of 3.5 years. We know you guys only got to be with us for about the last 7 or 8 months, but it's been quite a wild ride, and I love the players who have come with me for some of you for the entirety of the ride, some of you for the last couple years, and some of you just for the last 7 or 8 months. But I love you all. I love all of you guys. Thank you guys very much for joining me on this journey. It's not every day that you get to do something like this and have an overarching campaign that's become such a big part of our lives week after week. And characters that started as these weird concepts on a piece of paper that turned into real, living, breathing people in my mind. You know, when Arnos is being snarky with someone, I see that character doing it. When Perry's being a hound dog, I see that character. When I see Flynn just being flamboyant and talking himself up to every single person he meets, I can see that character do it.
And the Lester pants.
It's been a wild, emotional ride, and I'm glad you guys have got to see at least some of it. And we really hope that you guys are going to join us on our next campaign, which will be starting in 3 weeks from today. Next week, we will be running a special little game. Hopefully you guys will join us for that. It's something completely different than what we've been doing now, but should be fun. Should be a good time. The following week after that, we'll also be doing something a little different. In that time, I will be running the session zeros for characters. After the cameras go dark today, we're going to be doing scheduling and things like that to get all that stuff worked out, so that way we can get everybody on the same page. So when we start the next campaign, we can all be ready and to hit the ground running as fast as possible. We're all putting a lot of work into our characters and the campaign as a whole. It is going to be a completely homebrew world. We hope you guys will join us for that, just like you joined us for this. And these guys kicking the crap out of Strahd finally after 3.5 years. So let's go ahead and bring it down and get back into tonight's episode 30.
You know, it does my OCD good that we're ending on a nice
You're right? Episode 30.
It's like, Kyle is now happy.
Dice and Dudes. Last time, the Knights of Fate had collected back with Lady Morwen, discovering that by the next morning, a large contingent of halfling troops would be making their way there in order to make an assault on Karlakton itself. You all had decided that Strahd, being the linchpin of everything, needed to be killed. After teleporting to a sewer, which led to a secret entrance into the inner sanctum of the cathedral within the center of Karlakton, where Lady Morwen would take had her seat of power. You all followed the path, made your way through. By noon, you all had come across troops that were stationed directly outside the cathedral. A welcome party for you. Allowing you to pass unmolested, you entered Strahd's chamber and gave him your final decision of whether you would join him or die in the attempts. You all decided to take your all lives into your own hands and fight him to the bitter end. During that fight, Draka fell and was killed by Strahd. Others very nearly followed him by shuffling off the mortal coil. Now, with Rotmir raised and making his last desperate attack before he in turn would be butchered by the god, by the vampire god, is where we would start tonight's game session. The sword sinks into his chest. A soft gasp escapes the vampire god's lips. Looking at the sword and then into your eyes, blood begins to trickle from the corner of his mouth. The hilt of the sun sword begins to grow hot, unbearably hot. You hold on for as long as you can, but after a breath, the weapon shatters into 1,000 pieces. The sound of metal shards cascading across the floor fills the chamber. A spectral apparition of a strong, noble man stands before Strahd, his black hair expertly coiffed, his square jaw set sternly, and his once intense eyes hold a softness you would not have expected. Strahd takes an involuntary step back, words failing him. Then his legs. Knees buckling, he sinks to the floor. Blood pours from the hole in his chest. Sergei kneels down, places his hands upon the mad god's shoulders, and says, "It's time, brother. It's time." Holding his brother into an embrace. Tears stream down both their faces as motes of white light begin to appear, then drift into the air like embers from a fire. In the span of a few heartbeats, the two are gone. It's over. Not with a bang, not with a whimper, but with two brothers finally making peace and entering a long-awaited afterlife. What do you all do?
Let's see. Who was down? Everybody? Oh, I gotta get that one.
Well, Cade was about to pick Perry up.
Well, for the time being, we are going to not think about time in the strictest sense. You have more than enough capability in order to, between tasks and everyone else, to get everyone to at least a stabilized position.
Yeah.
I will go over to Thraka, put my hand on his shoulder.
His body is already ice cold.
Farewell, my friend.
Farewell. I didn't even see him go down.
I could see if I can try something.
He's already cold.
Then
I try after I rest. But I don't have the strength to do it right now.
it might have been too long for mine.
It has been well past a minute since Thraka has fallen.
I can cast it in the morning when we rest. But maybe there's a vampire army outside the door needs attention. Hopefully not.
I will grab Cold Justice and use it as a regular hammer, since I'm not attuned to it. And I will get into position to defend the group.
Do I need to pick a lock? I heard a lock. I'll go see if I need to pick a lock.
So you approach the door.
Alright.
The door is, it has very fancy bars. It's not like the old style where you actually have to put like a board on the inside to lock it. This actually has a sliding metal bar that closes it. And that is indeed closed.
I start working on my rifle.
It takes a little bit, but you can.
My strength is a 10, so, you know, it's going to take a little while.
It takes a minute, but you can get the door open.
So, are we ready to go out and face vampires, or are we going to be facing piles of ash? Who wants to find out?
Do you pull the door open, or?
Oh, I'm waiting for everyone to say something. Or someone
Yeah.
to say something.
Well,
I'll open the door.
if you guys want to wait for me to fix this rifle.
Nope.
I'll stand in
That takes a short rest. It takes an hour.
You gotta
So,
stand in an
I'll open the
appropriately
door.
dramatic position to be seen through the door.
They might stay and wait for it.
So the first thing when that door's crack open, it's Flynn standing there.
Yes.
Okay.
And I'm
Oh
close
my-
enough to pop a warding maneuver.
Okay.
It just.
Would you like 2 sets of wings? I can stand behind you.
No.
No, that was.
The one set of wings is enough, thank you. Full wings. Don't
Okay.
mind.
I'll open the door because someone might take forever to open it.
So you grab one side and begin pulling.
Yeah.
You won't open the door.
Yeah.
Suddenly, bright, blinding light fills the chamber. From the now clear skies beyond. Looking out at the courtyard before you, you see hundreds of empty sets of armor.
Well, good news, we don't have to shit our pants.
That was anticlimactic.
I'm gonna grab the door.
Well, would have been more climactic.
Before she does, I go to kneel next to him. Goodbye, brother. Hope you're fared well in the afterlife.
We can get him back. He
maybe
can
we
try
can.
to get him back.
Why do we move him? We take nap in this place and then... Sooner
It
or
seems
later.
like a good place. It's not like there's a bunch of vampires outside waiting for us.
Yeah, the door locks too.
We do need to get
Someone
back
needs
so that way we
to-
don't have a halfling army descend upon us.
It's not really such a big problem.
Someone needs to pass along the message to
It's not
Lady
exactly a
Morrowind that
big
her,
problem.
you
It's
know,
more like a lot of little
What
problems.
castle's clear.
I don't know. What is the state of the Undying?
That is also what we need to see. We have a city that
Yeah, but we're also beaten and broken.
I'll go take a
On the
quick
verge of
fly,
death.
flap around.
You are tired as
So
all
we need
get
to-
out.
But I'm not exhausted.
Yeah,
Good night.
Still with your single point of exhaustion.
Oh wait, yeah, okay, I was.
You are
Yeah, I
you
was.
are very tired. In fact, each one of you has currently one level of exhaustion.
Oh, Perry just
I
passed the
think
fuck
I
out.
had. That's right. I failed that with that.
What's the most comfortable chair in the room?
Oh,
think
the
there
one
is
that
one.
wasn't destroyed by Thraka.
so the throne.
So no, the other one. That's
the one next to
the throne isn't made for comfort. Like it's carved of a solid piece of stone.
It's made for opulence.
Yeah.
Go sit in the
Is
comfortable
there,
chair, pull out the finest bottle of wine that I've got left in the bag of holding, pour myself a drink.
is there a nice normal tower that I can climb?
As you take flight and begin flying around Karlakton, The city has been all but razed to ruin. There is a handful of buildings that still stand. Just a handful.
Strahd, seriously.
They took this city and turned it to nearly dust. Littering the streets on the outskirts of it, just before the city walls, you see hundreds and hundreds of unmoving bodies.
Take a look. I've got a spyglass. I'll do that.
Is he more than a mile away?
At this point, probably a little more than a mile away. Go and roll me a perception check.
Oh, where's the rolling thingy?
The rolling
No.
No,
That-
no,
that-
not the black one.
Not-
Yeah, not that one. Like,
Throw this in the
We have
fireplace.
we love
Nice.
we love our fans too much to subject them to that.
Yeah.
But
Because I missed, of course.
We love you guys. Have some noise.
Like,
21.
and there's kind of the thing.
Missing the
You see what looks to be a mixture of very, very, very old corpses that look like they had shaken dirt from their bodies nearly a week before, mixed with the very clear, undying soldiers that were once the defenders of Karnath, that turned upon their people and murdered them wholesale. They are unmoving.
Standing.
They appear to have dropped and are not moving where they fell.
Who controlled them before? It's irrelevant. I'll go fly back within range and inform people.
What do you say?
The dead have dropped dead. All of them, including the undying.
That's nice. I'm going to get drunk now.
It's a bit of a misnomer at this point.
So none of them are moving then?
And not the ones I saw.
You can watch for a few minutes and you see no movement at all.
Hmm.
And undead aren't quite like statues. Like statues, they stand, it's eerie that they stand just stock still. Like undead, they still stand still, but they're still moved by like wind and shifting and things like that. So you can still see, that if they were moving or they were staying completely still, just of their own accord.
But they're just collapsed.
Wait, are they?
They seem to have just collapsed where they were.
they look like corpses.
They look like the corpses that they are.
Lots and lots and lots of corpses. And this is just what you've seen before the city walls.
Oh. It's going to be very, very dangerous in a couple of days.
Why would it be dangerous in a couple of days?
Rotting corpses?
Oh, right.
Disease.
Yeah. I wake up in the morning and I burn them all.
I don't think you have enough fireballs for all that.
Depends if you do your work and pile some. I am not.
They've piled themselves pretty high.
Don't find. I burn them. No.
Well, I propose we shut ourselves in and take the needed rest. I don't think we could do much more.
This is a good idea. I find the castle wine stores first, though.
Do we have the ability to send a message? Though, honestly, the distinct lack of death when the armies get here will probably be signal enough, I suppose.
I have maybe enough magic to kill a rat at this moment.
Isn't that where most of these
I
adventures
can do this with my heel.
Perhaps a gargantuan rat, but still, just a rat. And quite frankly, I just prefer to find the wine stores. Have a wake for my friend in case I can't heal him and bring him back from the dead, and then pass out.
No rush.
To find the cellar.
Well, at this point, we are literally waiting for him to wait.
This
Totally
cathedral,
appropriate.
it's just an enclosed room. So
Castle
you'd actually
outside.
have to leave the castle, yeah.
Castle outside.
Okay, so you begin wandering around the castle?
I'm not going to let him go alone.
Okay, so you go with him? Okay, so both of you going to roll an investigation check, or one of you roll with advantage?
Go ahead and roll with advantage.
Investigation, I'm at a -1.
Okay, then I'll roll with advantage. Because I'm at a 0. So there we go.
It's just slightly better.
Slightly less shit.
And I'm going to do my best not to crash land.
That advantage helped. That's going to be a nat 20.
That's fine. Moving through, you guys have been here enough before, and you especially have made particular note of when refreshments are given. You know you've watched what rooms servants come out of with those refreshments. So you follow your way through there. Through most of the rooms within this place have been ransacked. Though you find blood splatter, you find burn marks, scorch marks, you find no bodies. Finding the storeroom, it's been pretty much left alone. Down beneath the kitchen, there is a wine cellar that is relatively well stocked, considering.
Oh, what a shame that Strahd has ransacked the wine cellar.
And with the natural 20, you happen to find 2 bottles of a very, very expensive Ondarian wine, known as Silverleaf. It is widely considered to be, if not the best wine, one of the best wines, considering depending on what year it is. And this particular year looks like a very good year.
Consider it payment for killing Strahd.
Oh no, it's a very, very horrible shame that Strahd ransacks the wine cellar. None of this was here. We don't need this armor, and we need this, and we need. Oh, this is a good vintage.
How many bottles do you take?
Till the bag of holding is full.
So,
going
you
to clear
empty
out
the
the
bag of
wine
holding,
cellar.
or
There's nothing really useful in it at the moment. Who needs armor and weapons? And
gold and gems?
I'll keep the gold and the gems.
Okay. You can probably, if you spend enough time, you could get about 120 bottles of wine.
So 130 bottles of wine.
The rest of them you just put on your person.
I was planning on drinking 10 while I was ransacking it.
You get in which? What are you drinking?
I will clear my throat. 1 or 20 bottles is payment. 100 bottles is theft.
Says no one who's going to complain about a little bit of payment. And honestly, Strahd stole them all anyway.
Sky Pirate's gonna pirate.
Uh-huh.
Well, I'm too tired to argue with you.
Good!
Then I
Let's
have
get drunk!
I get drunk.
You guys get one of the more, even the common vintages in this place are good wine.
Yeah.
You know, what would be considered good wine in a typical tavern. So you guys can crack
Is
open
this
a couple of
only
those.
wine?
It's only wine. This is a wine cellar. Like,
To help make
and
room
in
in-
Karnath, wine is big business. Like, wine is their thing.
To help make room in the bag of holding for wine, I'll pass him a bottle of brandy.
Is there brandy down here?
I have
He
brandy.
has brands.
He carries like all sorts of alcohol
I have-
on him.
My
You
bag of
guys
holding's more of a
will
portable bar.
leave
it is a cellar.
the cellar very inebriated.
I have no problem with that.
Oh my god.
As you guys make your way back, or as you guys are ransacking, actually, I need a perception check from you, and I need to get Tass and Cade.
Myself,
I'm
right?
passed out.
He's passed out, but I am
Yeah,
not.
still.
Okay.
You have disadvantage.
Woo!
Apparently so did Tristram.
I know, right? He's like, no.
I have a great perception
19.
of nope.
They're
Disadvantage.
Still the 7.
You find yourself started awake. And as you look around, you see Cade and Tass immediately take position behind 2 of the pillars and begin looking towards the door.
Grab my bow at this moment.
You don't notice this as you're standing over Thraka still. After a few moments, you hear very soft, booted feet coming down the hall, coming into this hall.
Do they sound like little people?
No, but they sound like someone who's very light on their feet. Someone who doesn't have a lot of weight to them. After a moment, a very battered and bruised, and in a few spots openly bleeding, Lady Morwen comes into view.
Lady Mormon!
I was gonna say it's fucking Chucky.
She stops next to Triswin and Thraka, looking down with a very sad look upon her face. You can see she is openly weeping.
Lady Marwin,
Roll up and
I
cure wounds.
have to. I'll do lay on hands for
As you come up, and she
20.
puts her hands up and please save it for those who truly need it.
I have some horrible news, my lady.
There is enough bad news for us all.
His Majesty sadly fell.
Didn't I kill his ass?
Oh, you are dead.
You're
But
dead!
didn't I? No, but didn't I?
Yes!
That is
Yeah.
not something to be proud of.
He's like, fuck it, I took one down with me!
He fell to Strahd, shamely.
Well,
I just kind of like,
I would imagine
committed
he
regicide,
fell at
fuck
Strahd's
off.
side, but be that as it may, stories will tell of his bravery against Strahd.
Agreed.
And for the sake of all, I would be ever grateful that no other word was spread.
of course,
It can be Brad.
You're not there.
not there.
You have all the wine in the cellar.
Just after dawn yesterday, or this day, the armies from Holy Oldra arrived in time to interrupt the rout of Strahd's troops against us. 2,000 mounted horsemen with another 5,000 infantry came to wipe the rest of the Carnathis off the face of the earth. The halflings fought bravely and nobly, but many of them fell. Kate at this point will look very concerned and, my lady, what of the holy altar? And she looks down at the floor for a moment, then looks back at him. She has been gravely wounded, and she asked for you upon her bedside. I'll go at once. I will give you the fastest mount we can find. That way you may rejoin her as quickly as possible. He nods and he runs off. She then slowly walks over to the stairs, sits upon them, puts her head into her hands, and just begins to cry.
Walk over. Kind of begin to comfort her.
Thank you for what you did. Many perished. Many good people died.
Looks over at Thraka.
Yeah.
And one crouchy old bastard died.
But in the end, what you did today has saved the lives of so many more. And it is a debt, not myself, not Karnath, not Corvair, nothing will be able to repay you for this debt.
I can think of a few ways to start it, but we'll deal with that later.
Keep it in
She
your pants.
she gives a chuckle to that, wipes some tears away from her eyes. At this point, you hear some very strange, jovial singing, very off-key, as Thundergut and Flint come sauntering into the chamber, very clearly drunk.
Hopefully one turn too attached to you, like out here.
Midi Lorovind!
She stands, walks up to Flynn, takes the bottle from his hand, and just begins drinking directly out of it.
Flynn, you got another one of those.
I must report that sadly the wine cellar fell in the battle.
Yes.
Casualty! That would be more.
That is correct.
She just kind of smiles wryly. Today exacts a heavy toll. And I thank you for the attempt at humor. It is appreciated. I have little strength left in me. I am able to return, and I must to the rest of the people. We cannot come back to Karnath. I have seen what is of our streets.
Hey,
We will
We need to mass some people and begin building powders for that as quickly as we can.
We will do as we can, as much as we can. We have a great many things to worry about on the road ahead.
Where will you go?
I'm going to worry about them after
I must return back to the people, and they need me there.
But then where will you go with the people?
We still head to Fort Zombie. From what we understand, whatever Strahd did in order to bring himself into our world, at the same time gave him control of our armies. Necromantic magic, it doesn't feel right. Something is off. I don't know how much damage was done to the weave. Hopefully it is repairable. But I believe the days of Karnath's undying armies are now forfeit. I must go now.
Yeah,
Again.
I'm pretty sure your citizens
She
are never going to trust the
gives
internet again.
each of you a hug.
I'll embrace her and I probably just start crying. Drunken.
We'll try and follow you to Fort Zombie shortly.
I suspect you'll beat us there.
I don't know.
I must find Cade.
Give me that wine.
I can return him with me, please.
That's
I must go. And she takes off after Cade. You find out later that she does indeed find him. And for Cade, sorry, Joe, that you couldn't be here today. That night, at the bedside of Holy Uldra, Cade is entrusted with the future of his people. The halflings who sought to defend the Karnathi people suffered about 70% losses, but took 3 times as many with them. Holy Uldra, upon her deathbed, names Cade Lathel, no longer Lath, but the leader of the tribe of halflings. With a heavy heart, he accepts responsibility, and he takes his place in the Council of Elders in Gatherhold. There is much celebration in Fort Zombie. There is laughing, there is crying, there is singing, there is dancing. In this party, you are joined by friends, old and new.
Unlo?
Onlo, sadly, did not survive. He died in the defense.
Crisis.
He died in the defense of the Karnathi people. And his name is sung within House Beneath for generations for his bravery.
I have a few drinks to his name.
At this party, you find Valis and Mark Marketov, both in attendance, and congratulating you on finally completing the quest that you all sent out so long to do. In the years to come, Mark Marketov is chosen to be liaison with remnants of Barovia and the outer world. He declines this offer. Instead, he moves back into the ancestral lands of Barovia and rebuilds the Wizards of Wine winery. Within a generation, not only is the Dragon Crush wine flowing again, but the champagne, famous of the Wizards of Wine winery, once again flows for anyone who can afford it. Valis, forever changed by what he saw within the Towering Wood, returns there with the help of the Wardens of the Wood For the rest of his days, he rebuilds the gatekeepers and strengthens the bonds and the seals that prevent the outer realms from ever coming counter Minus again, keeping Zoriat and its enemies at bay. He never fulfills his destiny to fight the Dreamer, but some destinies just cannot be fulfilled. He chooses a different path. He dies of very old age, a very wise man whose knowledge is widely sought after. Also at this party, a notable bard is present. Her siren song bringing people to tears and smiles within a breath, but a few different breaths. She takes her place alongside her beloved and demands that his promise be fulfilled.
Marriage.
I have a question. As paladin of the Church of Dolora, am I able to wed him?
You are, in fact.
I will do your wedding, bud.
Thank you, but you're okay with a little wedding. Is this saving the world party isn't exactly flamboyant enough.
Put my arm around Flynn and just get right in their faces. I'm sure I'm drunk.
Bullshit.
I will marry you right now if you want. Name of Dolar. Will marry you and Flynn.
There's plenty of witnesses in Wildwood, right?
Alright, everyone!
Do you need
We're
a best
gathered
man?
here
Is a
today.
cathedral in Sean?
Yes, we need
I'm
a best
already.
man.
I'm already
Don't
in
need a
black.
cathedral? 4 zombies ordained for Carnass.
Fine.
Yeah.
She reaches out and grabs Thundergut. Here, be my maid of honor.
Who is she?
She is Lady Chrysanthemum. She is beautiful beyond words and the apparent beloved of Flynn, who made an honest man of him, as it were.
I'm sure Thraka
I will
is
be the
enjoying
best
this
man.
from wherever he
I
is.
No, I've already called that. I'm in all black
You're the
already.
maid of honor. He is the best man. We need a ring bearer, Perry.
Not.
Oh wait, not on my
Lord, to be
rifle.
appropriate, Sabrina
No.
must be little.
Yeah, I was about to say.
At this point, Kate is gone, but Tass is very
Tass,
willing.
you have an
With
arm.
one arm?
Holds the ring.
I have one good arm.
Let
One
the
second,
ring
let me look
bearer
through this pile of
decide.
jewelry I've taken off of getting. Here's a shiny one.
You find the nicest ring that you guys have collected over the last 5 years of your travels.
It's an enchanted ring.
Was it on King Caius?
We have a ring of protection against force damage. Or is this force?
Well, he's currently wearing it.
I'm currently wearing it. Never mind.
Well, that becomes your own wedding ring. The ceremony is quick and to the point. It is met with much merriment, as people are more than happy, are ecstatic to see one of the Knights of Fate be married. And it seems
Oh, I've got
like that
vows.
small spot of normalcy within the sea of chaos that rages around. Now,
I didn't know paladins could cast Old Person.
Oh, it's his payback.
I'm going to start asking each of you what it is that your characters are doing over the next 20 or more years. We'll go ahead and we'll start with Tristan.
Why me? Start with that mirror.
Let's go.
You're up.
Okay, so after performing
Someone did
the
shield me.
wedding of the century now, we'll be going back home to my husband and palace.
And his sex bot.
No, that thing is burning. Well, I will be burning that thing.
Are you returning for good?
Yes.
Then, as promised, as your all's marriage agreement, the simulacrum of you is destroyed.
Oh, I want to see it destroyed.
You are present when it is. He has no problem.
Use your hammer.
The thing is an unfeeling construct that is simply destroyed.
Good.
Magic blows it into dust, basically.
Yeah, I can do this.
You can indeed.
Alright. I will.
I'll do it with flare and dragon fire.
Do you want a house in Wrinkleport? A nice house in Wrinkleport?
Oh, actually, hold on a second. I should, before, hold that thought. I'm going to cover a couple of things that happen. Things that change Corvair forever. We'll get to those, and then we'll get to your individual things, because this could change the way you guys see your characters. Now, first off, the following day, Flynn attempts a resurrection ritual upon Thraka and finds there is no connection between his body and his soul.
Maybe bury him as a hero.
Not only that, the citizens of the city of Nusir within Breland hear of the plight that happened to Karnath and the near day of mourning level destruction that they had suffered as Seer did before. And they moved their community north. They take over the lands of what was Karlakton and begin to rebuild. With those others from Karlakton that survived the raids, that survived that dark night, join together and create a new community. The entrance of Karlakton, as there is now but one, is guarded by a 20-foot tall statue of Thraka. Powerful axe upon his shoulder and a shield held forward. In the years to come, it becomes a common belief that should you pray beneath the shield that Thraka holds aloft, your journey will be met with great success.
Does it grumble when you push a button?
The Lady Morwen, for her valor and deeds, is named Queen of Karnath, the first of the non-Irwanar line to ever be given this honor. She is a tough but fair ruler, as you all know her to be. And after her coronation, that you all attend, she approaches several of you. Flynn, Thundergut, Perry, Tass, Arnos, and asked each of you to join her court, be given land and title within Karnath, as the noble houses have been decimated, and they are in need of new leadership. Each of you needs to decide on your own whether or not you take this offer. In the years to come, necromantic magic does finally begin to function again, as no necromancy spell can be cast within the borders. The magic simply does not work for over a decade. Eventually, the weave finally repairs itself, but the practice of using Undying is no longer practiced within Karnath. The undead armies are put to rest forever. Like Seer's destruction, this new day brings the five nations and beyond together. With the help of Onder, Breland, and Thrain, Karnath slowly recovers from the wounds it suffered. And Eberron knows peace. Though there's still those that seek to undermine it, you all are instrumental in securing that peace. One of the most sought after and sold books is Tales of Fate's Knights, written by a solitary gnome,
That poor
said
gnome.
to be made of a comprehensive list of interviews with Flynn and Perry.
Oh God.
Though some of its accounts are widely discounted,
If he
most
doesn't
are
have my
seen
Twitter
as
feed
true.
in there.
Tasselhoff, I'm sorry, not Tasselhoff, sorry, excuse me. Tass moves back to Barovia, back into Shadowfoot Manor, and after a time, he becomes the new Lord Watcher of Vallaki and becomes one of the most sought-after liaisons between the people of Barovia and Karnath beyond. He eventually marries and fathers a single child, but he is rarely seen outside official capacities ever again.
Does it have both arms?
No. Oh, the kid, yes.
Yes.
Oh, damn! I was excited for a second. You said no.
A large contingent of Kenku, now no longer cursed, make their way back into the Towering Wood. Many join along Valis in becoming the next generation of gatekeepers. Time, apparently, is not a force to be stymied, and in rapid succession, it reclaims those that had evaded its touch for so long. Before a decade has passed, the only remaining Kenku are those born after the curse's end. Only a single of those cursed seems to be able to stave off the effects, much to the strange, much to the chagrin of many spellcasters. The reason is never completely known. But Arnos, while aging
know.
rapidly, does not simply succumb to the effects, but eventually becomes a spiritual leader of his people. And his perseverance to free his people from their curse becomes legend among the Kenku. The practice of the shadow monks is disallowed, and they take up the way of the Kensai.
Maybe I'm born with it. Maybe it's Queen Elida.
Tikrik is freed from his prison and replaced into his former position. Hassith lives a long, productive life, striving to make your family, Rotmir and Triswin, the most powerful within the House Kundarak. He makes his peace with Rotmir, and Hassith keeps his word to High King Ryger.
Or else.
Unbeknownst to the both of you, your brother, the warrior, had set himself in Karnath with the town guard and perished during the defense of the Karnathi people.
Has it?
No,
No.
the warrior one.
Oh.
The third.
Your third brother. He is heralded as a hero and has a hero's funeral back in Grundigate. And it is this event that brings you back in touch with Hassith. And for the first time in years, the remaining siblings are in the same place together at the same time. Trisman, what is it you're doing?
Well,
How do you live the twilight years of your life?
I'm a half elf. I have a lot.
You do indeed.
I
But the adventures you go on never come to the heights of what you did here.
will go back with Ryger, destroy that.
The simulacrum.
Yeah,
Sex
that
doll.
thing. That. Actually, no, it wasn't that. I had certain things installed. But back and fulfill a promise to my father and have children.
How many children do you have?
Let's see.
As many as Riker puts in her.
Yeah, basically, we'll say 8 will be the maximum, with the eldest
He
boy
will,
named after
Riker's
my
like,
father.
oh, this one's real. This one's real.
he
This one's
will
real.
definitely put the 8 within you. Given time, Lord Ryger's power base grows, and while many of the other pirate kings still scoff at his claim to the throne of the Lazar Principalities, he is seen as a honorable yet terrible foe.
If he ever does go into battle, I will go with him. But
He's a king. He doesn't run into battle
I
anymore.
figured.
Those days are behind him.
But still, it's an offer.
Just
and
put your kids out the door with the fucking hammer.
Anything else that you do during
I
with your
will
time?
make sure that Regalport gets the houses in there.
It takes a very long time, but after a few decades, there are more houses making their way within Regalport.
I will also make sure that there is a large church to Dolorok built there, along with the other.
The rest of the sovereign
Yeah.
coast, yes.
I mean,
But a
but I
special
mean, it's
place.
mainly.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
it's a special. There's a special place for Dolorah, but the sovereign
Yes.
host is represented.
Yes. So, and then charity work and invite my mother to live with us, so she can be with her grandchildren.
It
Because
is
no one else is giving her grandchildren.
after your first couple of grandchildren is when your
Mm.
mother does indeed leave the Moorholds for the first time in her life, make the long journey to the Lazar Principalities, and spends the last few years of her life among her grandchildren. She passes after the last child is born.
Is that normally how you cause a divorce, by inviting the mother-in-law to live with you?
It's easier when you have a huge mansion.
It's a
'cause you can
palace,
just,
they don't have to
you
see
just
each
put her
other.
like
They
in a
don't have to
corner
see
and never
each
have to
other.
see her. It's big enough.
Put her
you
in the
never
old
have to
lady
see her.
room. She's cranky.
Your mother's here, right? Oh, she's
So-
in the East Wing somewhere.
I think.
Somewhere.
Arms,
Aye.
how do you spend the next 20 plus years?
Magical life alert installed.
Let's see. Go back to Morudar. Reconnect with my people. Find out as much as I can about the entity preventing Queen Elida from having children. Deal with that entity.
You discover that it is not a single entity, but a member of the Thalanis court, which Queen Elida is. None of them are permitted to have children. It is cursed among them. It comes with great power, but does not allow children to be born from them. Now, you do discover there is a way to circumvent this rule.
Yes.
And that becomes the topic of a grand short adventure that recollects the Knights of Fate together.
Does he turn into a girl?
Who's ready to go 5 for 5?
Are you instrumental in convincing your people to leave Margdar and re-enter the Towering Wood?
Yes, Margdar sucks.
Margdar suffered heavily from the reintroduction of Barovi into it. That schism affected itself and the planes beyond. Even the abyssal plane and the nine hell, or the 9 hells and the infernal plane, both felt the shockwave of this. And Margdar's power base takes a long time to recover. And it is free of the Kenku's influence, as the elders of the Kenku very quickly begin to die as time catches up with them. Simply breeding and continuing their bloodlines becomes paramount to them.
Oh god, it's a
lot
bunch
of
of bird
coyness.
fucking.
It's a lot of birds going out.
That's a lot of eggs sitting.
Yes, it is.
Sounds like
Is there
a fucking
anything else
angry egg
that
poop.
Arnos does during this time?
Oh no, the rest of that's going to have to be resolved after the adventure.
When it comes to Queen Elida, she does in fact take you as her husband, whether you want it or not.
I see.
Though not much changes. She still appears to be a free spirit as she is, and she still stays within the Feywild while you reside upon the material plane. She brings you over when she has the desire to, and
She's horny.
at the end of your days, you will see that she is as beautiful as the day you met, and time has no effect upon her. And when you finally do pass, she is there with you, making sure that you're accompanied when you do.
I never knew she was so sentimental.
Perry.
One last bird job before you go.
Well, I tell Lady Moira that I'd love to take her offer, but I made a promise to Leighton to rebuild the gatekeepers if she can find a way to reconcile those two, I'd love to take her offer.
We need someone who's going to be here a lot. If your sworn oath takes you away, I understand. If you would seek to change your mind, come back to me.
Well, once they have a few rangers of their own to teach the younger ones, I may come back.
We would be glad to accept you. And Arnos, do you accept her offer or no?
So what?
Do you accept Lady Morwen's offer to become nobility within Karnak?
I think I've got people to watch over.
So you decline as well?
Mm.
Okay.
He's got to train more ninja chickens as they reproduce.
Anything
Damn
else
straight.
that you do during over the next 20 years or 20 plus years?
Go back to the gatekeepers and work with them probably about 10, 15 years.
Naruto Bird Edition, and he's the Hokage.
Oh my god.
After about that, then if Lady Morwen's offer is still stand, I think that they're strong enough that I'd be able to leave them in Valus's
Anything
hands.
else that you do?
Well, I do still have that Rikshasha that's out to get me. I do want to take care of that at some point.
And
Okay.
your love.
Before it stabs you again.
My love, well, probably build a shrine to her, but as far as I know, she's in the afterlife, and there's nothing to do.
Oh yeah,
about
I'm in the
that.
afterlife, definitely. You don't have to build a shrine to me, though.
Oh well, yeah, him too. But if there's a way to find Thraka's spirit, I'll certainly help Flynn find.
Okay.
And
You end up making peace with the fact that your beloved is gone, while she still seems to watch over you at times. You can always feel her presence close in the darkest of nights.
and that presence keeps me from ever finding the love of another woman.
You end up dying happy but alone, surrounded by the students that you have taught. The time that you spend within the gatekeepers becomes your way of life. And you end up never taking Lady Morwen up on her offer.
How many fingers does he die with?
Deciding to stay with your students and what you've built. Flynn, how do you spend the next 20 plus years?
Well, I was told I was supposed to retire, and I think I could use a little bit of a break. And there's this lady who will build me a castle if I stay. Yeah, it takes off.
You are actually made the lord of the city of Vedikar. It is to the east of Karlakton, along the main road and along the lightning road route. Lady Chrysanthemum stays at your side. It's not the life that you really thought for yourself, and while it becomes very dull at times forcing you to sneak out and seek.
After about 2 years, Flynn's gonna get bored and start
Yeah.
traveling.
Yeah, small adventures and traveling and seeing the world and things.
I've never had this. I want to obtain
On
it.
one of these travels,
Do you show up to the halflings like Gandalf?
finally, after years, make your way to the elemental chaos. Specifically, into a realm of elemental earth.
My cave.
And with the help of a long, long ago friend, Adeo, that owes you a favor, you find the stash of uncut sapphires that he told you about.
Do you ask me to go with you?
After months of work, you're able to collect enough that would see you and your great-grandchildren well into wealth.
I have no idea where these came from. Enjoy your freedom, Adele.
Lady Chrysanthemum takes to being a wife very well. Stops her for traveling and performances. Instead, doing performances around the city. Never leaving your side for long, even joining you on some of your adventures, though decidedly not the more dangerous ones. Though she definitely withholds sex for weeks after you go off on one of these adventures.
That's bad.
Do you have children with her?
Little Flins?
Oh God. no.
Sure, Little Flins.
Little Flints. How many do you have with her?
Oh god.
3 Little Flins.
3 Little Flints. Your dad.
2 boys and a girl.
Yeah. Your dad leaves Regalport and goes to stay with you in Vedekar to spend time with you in his last days, and tells you the story of the night at sea, shipwrecked on some long forgotten island, a strange woman in white appearing and asking him for a favor. Him readily agreeing to whatever this favor was. They shared a night together. He awoke in his bed within Regalport, having no idea how he got there. About 9 months later, a small child was left upon his doorstep, and that is where you came from. He never knew who or what this entity was.
This is a much better story than the Tavern Hall story.
This is how you find out that you are not the half-elf that you thought you were, but you are actually an Aasimar.
Sweet.
And the ego goes up. Thank you.
I know,
Not
right?
it could not get
I'm
worse.
divine and mighty
Never
flame.
ever believe it can't get worse.
And Thundergut.
Okay, I work tirelessly to help Lady Morrowind after the carnage, but I do not accept.
Okay.
Although I will be there rebuilding the guild house in Carlacton. One of the first things I would do is take an apprentice. Select most likely from maybe the house guard from my family.
Okay.
And I would go on a quest to gain wealth with Fickrick, hire him to, help me strategize.
Wealth isn't an issue, is whatever wealth you need, Lady Morrowind will easily provide.
Well, I'm going to split my time between Carnath, Lakeholm, Regalport.
Yeah.
And I will just train as many apprentices as I can in the ways of mounted combat, martial combat, culinary arts, create a restaurant empire, and finally retire in Lakeholm, a beautiful lake, a tavern / inn, to further give credence to the trope, don't mess with the bartender. He's a 20th level fighter.
Yeah, right.
3 years before Hasseth passes, with the aid of his children, he comes into your tavern to have you finally prepare a meal for him. He speaks with you amiably, laughs, drinks with you, enjoys his meal, and leaves. 3 years later, you hear of his passing. But that night shows passeth to you in a different light. That despite how much you chafed against each other, how different your views were for everything, in the end, he did indeed have yours and the rest of his family's best interest in mind with everything he did. And his sons take over, yes, sons, take over the house, and your family remains powerful within House de Kundarak for generations.
Cool. Yeah. So just
Your three restaurants within
I forgot.
Carlacton, Lakeholm, and Regalport all become very popular spots.
I will consent to have my eldest brother select a bride for me.
He does. It's one of the lesser known houses within the Kundarak.
I'll go for the ceremony.
It's like it would be like a
That's my
fourth
job.
or fifth
No,
I'm
cousin.
the only priest.
So it's
I
out of
am
like
the
that
sister.
icky kind of
I
area.
get to do.
I am
But-
divine.
Kind of marry in the house, you know. Keep the mark alive.
Rabbit.
Keep it. all
Do
in the
you,
family.
in fact,
I-
have
Technically
children
a
with her?
charm.
I reserve the right to have some say,
Hold on.
so there's probably bickering. And maybe at that point is when a lot of things are resolved.
Well, he probably starts with a second cousin, and you're like, no.
Not chicken out.
Like third cousin, ick. You get down to fifth or sixth cousin, and okay.
Anyway, we can do a marriage of convenience to where it's not within the House of de Kundarak, but it serves the purpose of the house.
You could marry. They really need new inroads within Karnath, as most of them are dead.
Is there dwarven families in Karnak?
Nope.
No.
What,
Can
what,
Marry a
children.
human.
What
I've
about
got
this?
No, you
what-
can't. But you
what
could
about
have
the
a marriage
big
of
booty lady
convenience.
dwarf that helped him with his mark?
Yeah, I've got this. I get the lady dwarf and make a mayor of some small town.
I present her as one of the
Big booty lady dwarf. There you go.
the one from Kornberg that he beat mercifully.
Mercilessly, yeah.
Mercilessly. I'm like, you know what? She deserves this.
You give her the sun sword around here.
Well, I'll be there to convince.
Sun sword's
as well.
shattered.
That's not what I'm talking about.
Oh,
No.
He
you
consents
knew when to.
Give her the flesh sword.
on the condition that
Give her the hammer.
you accept title from Lady Morwen.
Oh.
Yes, but
Even if it's just a knighthood, but you must accept land and title.
all right. And then I will have a lot of children with that one.
Yes, she is more than happy to have as many kids as you can pump out. Do you have a number, or do I need to come up with it?
16.
Roll a d20.
I don't think they're all like squished together.
Yeah, they're all like
time-wise.
blah, 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 blah. Okay.
You're a
Yeah.
dwarf. You lived a long time.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Okay, so how... Do you have a number, or do you want me to get the number I just rolled?
Oh,
not ludicrous a lot, but
20.
Ludicrous is
I was
flexible.
thinking over my lifetime, which is, I mean, shoot, I was.
You got another
Are we-
150 years
Are
to
we
go.
competing over how many kids we have?
Oh, my.
Yes, let's turn that into a thing.
I'll
Oh
get back.
my
I'll
God.
get
How
back
many
to
kids do
you
you
with
have?
whether or not we can start
I have
arguing
8.
equality.
Are you seriously gonna do this?
You
I
have
will
9.
pop out another one.
Yes, and I'm gonna rub it in their faces,
Oh.
and then we're gonna fly on Captain Grawl.
Oh, Captain Gormuk.
Captain Gorm. We're gonna use him exclusively.
Does
to
he own
visit
his own airship?
He is...
You know, I could have
He
had
owns
one
that
built
airship.
for
He
you.
owns it.
Yeah,
and
we ripped
he
it to
is,
pieces.
Sure.
he owns the airship, and he is a good friend to Lady Morwen, and he is given land and title.
You know, I could have had
You know,
one
I
built
wish to
for
buy
you
the
by the
airship.
gnomes and gifted as a
Love
wedding
that.
gift if you want.
He probably wouldn't sell his airship, but he could help you acquire one. Because the Swift Wind is that holds a very, very large
No,
place.
no,
to
you'll
start.
fly it. I just want to buy it. So
Let me
then
buy
I
an
don't have to
airship.
pay you every time I want to use it.
Well,
Don't
you
have
know,
to
the
pay me
Empire The culinary empire that I'm
What's a big
setting
bit,
up
is it?
can use an
There's
airship.
already big bits. Look,
Let me be
The
an
Knights of
investor
Fate
and
fly for
buy
free.
you an airship.
that's just the way
And
it's gonna
perform
be.
your wedding.
You want me to buy you a bigger
So something I
The only thing I can say to that
I'm
is
getting
duh.
good. I'm getting good luck charms for everybody in this campaign because everybody was unlucky at some point. However, the first two go to the two most unlucky in my eyes after sitting for 7 months.
Oh God, it's Paul.
Perry, because his gun blows up like every major fight, and then Sir Clumsy the third. The rest of y'all will get one as soon as I can get
You
them.
both.
Thank you.
You both.
Yeah, Jesus can't be
The
so
next day,
bad.
after the fight with Strahd, you wake up and you both find a note and a trinket within your possessions that you hadn't noticed before. That is from Thraka, which spurs your investigation into him.
I will assist him how I can. So with the church.
Now I'm going to do one more thing, and then we can freeform this a little bit more.
Okay. Because I want to get to the wedding and performing it. And we're competing with kids.
Perry.
Non-performance of it.
11 years
I'm your
Turn you
sister.
into a
have
rat.
passed
I'm your sister.
since Strahd was defeated, and you have never stopped your quest to try to bring Thraka back. After his death and the destruction of Karl Acton, the cult went silent. Activity ceased, and whispers of them soon quieted by the problems of the new world you find yourself in. But now, 11 years later, you've heard whispers, and the cult of Quizalik rises again. That will be the subject of the first one-shot I will run for this campaign in the next few months. We'll get some time in with the next campaign, but we're going to revisit this, and the search for Thraka, Star Trek 3, will be the first one-shot that we run. And at that time, we will then come to see what Thraka does if you all are successful in saving him.
Does that make him Kirk or me Kirk?
I think out of the
Kirk
two
never
of-
married.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, he did.
Oh,
He
that's
married-
true. That's
Chapel.
true.
No,
His son is
they
in
didn't
Star
marry.
Well, okay.
They just had a kid.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm going by the new Star Trek 1, so yes, he hasn't married yet.
Ah,
And there's not going to be a Star Trek 4.
Yeah,
sadly.
but then Kirk died
Damn
and
it,
gets
there
brought
should
back.
be.
with
Well,
trilogy.
it's
No,
a
he said he's
contract
not
thing.
doing it
Yeah,
because
like Chris
of,
Hemsworth, Chris Hemsworth and Chris Pine
Chris
both
Pine.
were like, yeah, they were going to do a time travel thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Chris Pine didn't want to do it without Anton Yelchin.
Yeah, he was like, without Anton Yelchin, I don't really want to do it. And I agree with that because,
Did
He
Yelchin
was.
die or?
Yeah, he did. He got crushed by his car.
Yeah.
That's
That was
yeah,
a Star
it's
Trek.
Right?
freak accident.
He
So
was
if we do
amazing
find
as
Thraka in an adolescent state,
Chekhov.
I'm so not doing Ponfara with him. That's her job.
Oh, that is all Flynn. All Flynn.
That's the wrong type of magic.
Oh,
That's the last thing.
In an adolescent state?
Have you not
As
seen
a
Is there
child.
anything?
Have
Okay,
you not seen
now
Star Trek?
guys, now is a great time
We have to have
for
a Star Trek
all
night
those
for
questions that you've had for me throughout this entire campaign. Don't ask me questions that I'm going to be answering in to be continued one-shot things. But other things, I'm more than happy to answer. We don't have Talks Machina. So this is your guys' chance.
What
for
happened to
everything
the
that's
first
happened.
elf chick I banged?
Way back when.
Yeah, yeah.
She was married. That was gonna be a whole plot, but you guys
Not
decided to
anymore,
leave
apparently.
at that point.
Wait,
You know,
wait,
like-
did he get her pregnant?
No.
Oh.
But her husband found out, and that was gonna become a whole thing.
No.
Yeah.
What happened to the dwarf that broke the fingers of?
Oh, you mean Corona Gate?
Yeah, the one that like got held monster, and then Thraka went full like old school gangbanger.
He
Just
probably stayed a cheap cutthroat, doing nothing. Staying with the Thieves Guild for.
does he have
years
a
to come.
phobia of orcs?
You know he might
He
now.
probably hates every half-orc he sees.
Did Perry accidentally father any children?
No, Barry actually stayed very clear to the oath that. he
No, I
had to
meant
himself.
before that.
Oh no! You didn't
Maybe-
accidentally father any children.
Maybe
Uh,
you're sterile.
you always had this. Your bloodline does die with you. You don't have any children, and you don't marry.
You
But
took the black. I mean, come on.
instead of you giving your progenation out to the world by your bloodline, you gave it to your knowledge. The gatekeepers and the Wardens of the Wood become much greater for your efforts in tactical knowledge, stealth training, and
Firearms.
the firearms that you help create for them. Your crime of stealing it is forgiven by Onder because, saving the whole world.
You stole that thing?
Perry's
Yes.
firearms. Guaranteed
that is
fail at
something
the worst
that
time.
he never really talked about, but Perry did indeed steal that. It was an experimental weapon he stole and then decided, hey, if one barrel's good, two's better.
Would you add a third to it?
When Perry was facing being put to the firing squad by his own squad, he absconded with the rifle and
And left.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
So you were an Ondarian soldier
Yep.
in the jungles?
No, not the jungles, but the force.
Anders Force.
Okay.
Think of like
What about my old gang? The gang that I ran with as a child. Do they hear about me?
Oh yeah, all of your names become household names. I mean, everyone in Karnak knows who, or in Corvair knows who you guys are. Like that. When I say the Fates Night, the Fates Knights,
Fates Knights.
the Fates Knights, you guys become household names, and you all are sought out hundreds of times by people and asked to tell the stories.
so people now know that I was really in disguise in a hat.
If you let that come out.
Yeah, why
Your
not?
name is Ricky.
I was in disguise.
Ricky the Redhead!
So one of the things that I didn't write down or anything, but since I died the first time, is Thorka would have had on him a note for Flynn, telling him to go, since he used to be like a fucking scoundrel back in the past, to go collect my gang and make them work for him.
Do you actually indeed do that or no?
Look on his
dirty.
face.
That sounds like a very hard no. Looks like a very hard no, I should say.
I'll transport them to Regalport and have them work for Dad.
Well, that was before.
Well, Dad goes with you.
No, before I
Okay.
start dropping.
So
pieces.
he puts them in the
Yeah.
places where they're useful.
Keep you to this. Some sicknesses, please. Get
Oh,
some away from me.
Get some of
Yeah, I fulfilled the promise.
Anybody else have any other questions?
that.
Rapid fire at me.
well, Perry definitely
Real
keeps it.
parents.
So that was actually a red herring. It was meant to be to lure you into a trap.
Oh, okay. So, old gypsy woman.
Your parents, you actually pay Flynn here with enough components for a legend lore spell about you, and you discover your parents were basically just a elf and a human who were running from the Valinor because they were in love and had a kid. They managed to escape and eventually broke up and just went their separate ways, and that was
I
it.
was stuck with halflings and picked
I'll
up
pretty
my
that
dwarf.
story up.
Yeah.
I'll make it some real Romeo and Juliet shit.
Yeah, but it's They,
Somehow I
they
don't
were.
believe
It was literally a ploy to try to get you in a position that they could take advantage of you.
Oh, okay.
But you didn't go that route. You didn't. You had the stuff with the saga in your head, and everything else going on that you were like, okay, that's back burner, and that kind of diffused their plans a bit. But then they adjusted. You did indeed have Strahd watching you the entire time you were in Corvair.
Yeah.
That's not creepy at all.
I know, right?
He basically planted a portion of his essence within you, which is several times why your effect would freak out and sense undead when there were no undead present.
That's kind of cool.
And I thought that was me the entire time.
Yeah, I know, right? I thought that was me
Wasn't
too, or you as well.
Huh.
That's
So do
Did you ever make peace with Lasaga?
well, yeah. We
Yeah. The saga actually becomes almost like a saint of Doloran again. The true story of no matter how irredeemable somebody is, they can be saved.
Yeah.
So
Totally.
while Strahd could not be, only in death was his madness cured. Lasaga could be helped. And you all went very far with that, with helping her find her deceased child and giving it a proper burial. That went a long way in helping her. Because you guys could have been callous about it, but it was one of the first few times that you guys took a very heartfelt approach to something. as opposed to just meh. And instead of just burning it to cinders or something, you guys did a ritual, and that really got her on your side. It would have made it much harder if you guys had treated that portion like a joke.
Does Lady Moro ever ask for our help again?
Constantly, especially those who accept her offer. You are basically her go-to, her counsel. There are a few problems that happen within Karnath. There's even a coup attempt upon her because she's not of noble enough blood. She's not Irwinar. She's not Irwinar. So she has trouble with the other houses, with the with the Dragonmark houses. She has a lot of trouble with that. But eventually,
How many
she's
of them
seen
do I
as
have to burn before they
Yeah,
No more burning people.
she's seen after a while as just the true heir.
Does
And it apparently was King Caius's wishes.
Does no one have the authority to adopt her into the Irwinar family?
He was
Not
it
really.
for like
She-
ever.
She does actually marry the son of the King of Breland, so she marries into the family, but she's never truly seen as an Irwinar, and his son is never seen as a real ruler. It's a very much like a Prince Harry kind of situation where she is seen as the power, and he's just kind of there.
Well, I will teach him that when words fail, there's things that you can do.
Oh, he's not a fighter at all. Like, he
not.
tries.
He's not a chip off.
Yeah,
the
yeah,
block.
but he is not a chip off of the old block of his father.
What would be his talent then, would you say?
He's very good at being a noble.
being born rich.
Yeah, he's very good at being rich.
Okay, so if he takes that route and he's good for nothing, then I won't teach him anything.
He's good at bringing
Sitting
in some of the houses and getting them to change their mind, things like that. But he's
So he's a politician.
a politician.
I will
He's
connive
a
to be out of
noble.
town every time. He
So does
uh,
does Fikrik agree to manage my finances?
he does indeed. Fikrik will move because of the amount of destruction caused to Karnath. Fikrik does move his operation to Karnath itself and begins assisting with the rebuilding of Karnath, insinuating himself with the underworld at the same time and becoming a very powerful and rich man who dies very, very fat and very, very happy.
Okay.
I will also offer
Though
a house in
he
Rehoboth.
actually does die childless, as you all find out that he is actually of the homosexual bent.
Oh,
Something you all didn't know.
we didn't know it.
That explains
And
why
then
he
it's
gave me
like,
a strange eye.
You two are the only ones besides Hassus that have children, as the clergyman also has taken the vow of chastity, so he cannot. So it is you two and Hassith that carry on the bloodline.
Okay.
So how many kids you have?
One more than you?
Did I have any accidental kids?
Probably your first kid was accidental. Probably wedding night.
I meant pre.
Oh no.
So no love children. Okay.
Yeah, I don't do the love. If I'm gonna do the love child thing, that's definitely gonna come up in game.
Yeah.
I stayed away from that because Sam Riegel and Matt Mercer did it so perfectly in the first season of Critical Role. I didn't want to step on those toes. I had the idea, but it's like I can't follow that act.
Can I beat that?
Yeah,
Nope,
I
I'm not gonna do it.
Can't follow that act. So
Did Thraka knock up any of the statutes that he hit up?
No.
Okay.
Oh my god.
How many sexual diseases did Perry actually have?
No.
yeah,
No.
none.
I cured him of everything if he even had anything.
he actually. The thing is, he talked himself up as a whore much more than he was.
That's true.
Like the whole halfling thing was to freak people out,
Yeah.
just to get under your skin. But he actually only laid with maybe a couple of women.
And it was an accident.
Yeah.
Got too drunk and they forced themselves on him.
Yeah.
That was such
The
a
one who
horrible
actually tried to
thing.
kill you, because
No.
it turned out to be,
The rock shot.
Yeah.
Shaza.
The thing is, we can go ahead and do this one. When you died, the last time, the Rakshasa, the blood debt that the Rakshasa had on you was wiped clean. And you never see the Rakshasa again.
Well, that's irritating. I want to add a name to this thing.
Oh yeah.
Just picture you like hunting down demons and stuff just to add a name to it.
Damn straight.
I definitely give him the
That
name.
is probably what he does.
Yeah.
And I give him the
It's
name
gotta
of the
make some
Rakshasa.
Really nice pattern.
If you have a finder, let me know.
Oh,
I'll certainly
and that
help.
is actually a path that you guys could have gone down, because the weapons of the winds was actually a path you guys could take. There was not only the spear of the desert winds, there was the staff of the Arctic winds, there was the sword of the summer winds, there was the trident of the ocean breeze. Like that, you guys could have gone after that stuff to really try to power yourself up beforehand, but didn't go that route. You guys made a lot of decisions that changed the game. I had to lay a lot of track in front of you guys. Many times that I have stuff prepared that you guys just walking right past it.
Sorry.
Like, nope, going over here, gonna do. No, don't.
No.
The campaign went exactly where it needed to go, and I don't want it to go any other way than what it did.
You know, if we went after the ancient relics, we might have ended up on session 33. And God, what would that have done Kyle's hairline?
Right?
Well, it's
I know,
right?
it's
double numbers. It's okay.
Oh, okay. So 34. You know?
34 ain't so
what
bad.
So what do these
it's a
people
rule
do
of the
with my
internet.
corpse?
Well,
Is it just
I
still
wanna
like
Oh,
say-
no,
laying there?
your corpse gets interred beneath your statue.
Yeah, and gentle repose is cast on it every day.
Yep. We forced the priests to do it.
Which they gladly would, as, again, I cannot sell this short of you saved not only this world, but probably others. Because Strahd, at that particular time, was only susceptible to the Sun Sword.
Man, I beat the shit out of him the best
All
I could.
damage that you guys did was halved twice,
Ooh.
except for the Sun Sword.
That
That was
was
the
doubled.
only thing that could kill him.
Well, it's a good
If-
intro.
And like, literally, he was at 0 hit points for 3 rounds. But what? Nothing can kill him except the Sun Sword.
Well, that sucks.
Well, now we know, like, really old vampire progeny died to a giant fucking axe.
And his progeny died.
All the vampires.
All the vampires died.
So there are no more vampires in Fort River.
None
Caius
that
was
you all
dead
know
from the
of.
start.
Yeah. No matter what, when he was killed, well, when Caius sent you all, he said, even if he dies in another realm, I may die too, and I'm willing to make that sacrifice. Which is why he had it set up already that Lady Morwen would take his place. Which is why they cured her vampirism before Strahd came back to this world. Lady Morwen was, if you look at her, she is the linchpin and the most important NPC of this entire campaign. Not only did she start you guys on your first adventure, but in the end, she granted you guys your titles.
She's our fizzband.
And you guys have no want for any kind of money. There's nothing like the horror story of you running out of money and dying penniless in the street. That doesn't happen with any of you.
Well, no, I'm a queen. I'm good.
Well, no, there's no chance of that happening. Even Tass, who kind of shuns it as much as possible, he still, when he finally passes, he does it in Shadowfoot manner, surrounded by loved ones, with people who respect him.
I have an ancient cave full of sapphires. I'm good.
Cade becomes laughed out, and he
Too busy.
his entire life revolves around his people.
So there's no coming to the lake home for Christmas.
Oh no, he'd get to definitely. Like you guys would definitely get to be able to get together a few times, but there's maybe only 3 or 4 times that you all are able to gather all of you at the same time.
I will actually
Is there
have commissioned for Rotmir's wedding an airship, so that way he's able to go freely between his restaurants. And I will
what?
be in the airship.
Okay.
I'll have one made by the gnomes, especially, and customized for him with a giant galley kitchen thingy. And I will be an investor. Yes, I will be an investor in that for you. Thank
Tickets.
you.
I can man the kitchen.
See? And I will perform his wedding.
Nope.
Griping
I'm
the
performing
no,
his
no, no, I'm his sister.
Or you could try embracing
turn her into a
the
rat.
adjunctive properties of the word
I think
and
that would be my stick. Flying restaurants.
Okay.
We shed the wedding.
What order does everyone eventually pass?
Queen!
I tell you
well,
the rabbit.
Humans die first. Well, actually, the first one of you to pass is actually Arnos.
Fucking I died first.
But also lived quite the longest.
Yeah, right.
Then
Thousands of
Tass goes next. Then Perry. then Triswin and Flynn and Rotmir all right around the same time. And Cade would go out right around the same time as you.
I turned myself into a dragon and live forever.
Yeah, right.
No.
And then the chamber comes after you. So
No, I go live in my cave of sapphires. It's all good.
Oh, they find you.
That's when his wife learns.
There's a
counterspell.
reason why they said
Every time he gets
Every time he does dispel magic.
And he's like, why?
honey, I'm going out. No, you're not.
Oh god,
Shice!
though, like just the bedroom role play between the two of those.
God.
How many
How many of the Kenku actually get their wings
it
back?
when I flex my wings?
Most Kenku born, about 60% of them are still born without wings, which is natural. But you still have those who are born with wings now, and though they're seen as like the warrior caste, basically. While they have no more rights than the others do, they tend to be stronger and faster, but they also tend to stay within the tribe and defend and fight along the gatekeepers as well. The others are very good at mercantile ways. They're very good at subterfuge. They're very, they have lots of
They're
practice.
very good at cloaking
Yeah,
down.
there's lots of
Kenku
racial
has
memory
wares
for
if you
cloak and
have
dagger.
coins.
So I take it I
I was
see
gonna
you
say
a lot.
Khajiit bird, but
Yeah, you would probably see Arnos a lot. Like it would be you and Arnos seeing each other quite a bit, along with Valis. You guys don't really see much of Mark Marketov after this. Same thing with Tass, unless you make your way to Tass. Mark Marketov does not travel. He stays within the Wizards of Wine Winery, though his vintage, eventually, by the time you all pass, begins to come into fashion, especially within the courts of Ondare, where wine is king.
That's true, it is.
We'll make sure that it is served at all state functions.
And it is delicious.
Oh, I'll buy it.
And
That's
I
why
do-
I'm making sure it's served
Yeah.
at all state
I
functions.
do request that he
That's why I need
send
an
some
airship
wine
to
my
collect
way
my wine.
every now and then.
You guys keep a
You can
very
ask the
good
nurse.
relationship amongst each other, and
I bought one.
while most of you, like I said, while you guys aren't able to collect up too often, as your lives take you into 1,000 different directions, there are times, especially trying to bring Thraka back, that brings you all together. And there is maybe 2 or 3 other times that you all collect up as a group for one last hurrah.
I have a letter on my corpse. I actually have an outline on my phone because I figured I'd probably be dead. But that would probably be read like at whatever the equivalent funeral will be. I guess the
Oh, you have a
interment
warrior's
thing.
funeral. Hero's
But,
funeral, sorry.
It's got something for each of them, and it would be read by whatever priest, whoever. It'd say not to be read by Flynn for fear of embellishment. on
Flynn
the
stopped
outside.
reading after the Steve
So
stopped reading all
if
of the
Flynn doesn't read it, most likely Perry does.
Could we call this a ukulele?
No, I read it. I
No.
threaten with turning people into rabbits if I don't get to read it.
And I threaten you with my rifle. Turn me into a rabbit, I don't care.
No,
I got teeth.
It's meant to be read by like just one of like the townspeople with a good voice. So that way it's kind of
Lady-
like
Lady Morland would do it.
okay. Well, I can't do a really good girl voice, so I'm just gonna talk as I am.
Yeah.
But it starts with, if you're reading this poorly handwritten shit, I've probably been stabbed, or my brain sucked out, or some other bullshit, or Flynn set me on fire. Either way, I'm probably fucking dead. Again. It's been weird. I thought I'd just go beat the shit out of demons in the fucking woods. And I got stuck with you fucks. I thought it was done after I got my ass kicked by that giant fucking pug thing or whatever, and fucking the chicken's fucking demon waste or whatever. That shit sucked. But I've grown to like you all, even if Perry can't keep his dick in his pants. And this is where I have that line. Okay. Rotmir, I appreciate you feeding my ass. I know I eat a lot. I know I drink a lot. But you never really got on my nerves, and I appreciate it, except when you wouldn't beat the shit out of your brother. But I hope you figure that out, if y'all survive. I'm sure you will. You're stronger than him. Chicken.
Always chicken.
You do really good shit. I appreciate you stabbing demons so they don't stab me. You were definitely not annoying to me, though I'm still confused as to how sex between you and that fairy chick works. However that works, I hope
It works.
however that
And during
works.
the somber reading, you just hear Arnos cry out, "Oh, it works!"
But however that works, I hope it works well. And I hope you have weird little fae children or some shit someday that have
damn
weird
straight.
wings in places. I don't know. Good luck. Perry, it's good fighting alongside a brother, even though it's like trying to keep a horny chihuahua off of all the dogs in heat. It's nice seeing you again, even though we weren't in the woods for very long. Then we're in the desert, and then we're in underwater caves, and then we're fighting all sorts of other bullshit, and now we're fighting undead. This shit sucks. But I wish you well, brother. I hope you do well with the gatekeepers. Sorry for dispelling that spell one time that really pissed you off. Like, I understand his good intention, but I don't blame you for hitting me. And I was not totally planning on killing you in your sleep that night. But either way, I hope you drink well. I hope your gun stops fucking blowing up, because it's probably going to blow up in the fight. I know it will. And I wish you well, brother. Triswin,
No additions to that statement.
you have been one of the best people I've ever met, and one of the most hard-headed fucking people I've ever met.
Sure.
I hope that you destroy the sex doll, because that thing is creepy. I hope
No context. No, you get no context.
I hope that you settle down and become the royalty that you're supposed to, instead of stopping people like me from killing shit with your talks of we can redeem it. As soon as you said we can redeem Strahd, my dick, my ass, my head, everything inside of me just kind of like shriveled up inside, knowing this is how we're gonna die. But hopefully it doesn't go that way. Hopefully you let us kill him. Either way, I wish you the best. And just chill on the priestly stuff. Just be normal. You don't have to swing around a holy hammer. Just be normal. No skinny woman should be that strong. Alright, and here's Flynn's. And Flynn. What can I say about Flynn? I still have burn scars to this day. Just a while ago, you sent a little child to give me a fart flower. This is probably not the best time to write this about you, but I guess I could say you're my friend when I'm not on fire, or I'm not getting sunbeamed, or I'm not having to hear about the holy priest of Alondra, and seeing you potentially start so many wars with your ego, and see so many women's faces fall when they see you. But it was good knowing you. You're a friend. But I swear to God, I'm changing this, and I'm killing you in your sleep if you send that child in with another fart flower.
So statistically speaking, how often is he actually your friend? Because he does all of those things.
Doesn't say that in the letter, and then it goes off into Tass, who he just recently met. And you, stabby midget. If I'm already dead, you can't kill me. You're kind of cool. Except when I open the fucking door, and you almost stabbed me. You can fuck off with that shit. If you do anything to me in the future, I'm gonna take you with me, you little bastard. And that's where it is for as far as the character things it's done with. It goes into just, I didn't ask to join this. I got voluntold, like most people in military services. But, you know what? I've seen some weird shit. I've gotten laid a couple of times, which wasn't happening a lot in the woods. And I've got to have a bath, so it can't be that bad.
So glad that wasn't happening.
But
in the woods.
I swear to God, whatever God you pray to, if y'all let my soul get tentacle fucked by that asshole that won't stop stalking me, I'm going to find some way to haunt all of you. And that's where it ends.
So you have it.
Does
now, yeah.
anybody have anything else they want to answer? Speak now.
We ended up getting hunted by Thraka.
To be
Well, he
continued.
doesn't tend to go right, so
What
that's a
did
good
we
sign.
miss?
Huh?
What did we miss? There's some stuff we missed. Just
Oh my
missed.
God! You guys
Give us
missed
the
so
highlights,
much.
bro.
Okay.
Oh, like what
the
happened?
big
Okay,
ones.
like the weapons that the weapon sets that you guys could have found. That was a big one that you guys missed. When you guys when you guys went to fight the fire giants, there was a diplomatic solution there.
I'm sure there was. Flynn didn't want to take it.
Well, the thing is, almost every situation that you guys came into and diplomatized your way out of, or into,
No.
there was the option of it changing. You guys could have gone on further adventures within Zendrix. Boromar of the Wayfinders Guild was going to ask you guys to head further deeper in for a few other adventures that you guys could have gone on. Within Barovia, when you guys went to recover the Sun Sword, you guys made a very important decision there. Because if you guys had instead headed to the Amber Temple in order to take Strahd on immediately, just try to get rid of him and kill him, it would have been a much, much harder fight. Probably a lot more of you guys would have died. It was still doable, because he could be still killed within Barovia. But he could not be killed outside of Barovia without the Sun Sword. And the Reforged Sun Sword was the only thing that could have done it afterwards. So once you guys made that decision, that became a black and white thing that was binary. Once you went after that, he reclaimed the piece of his essence from Triswin and completed the ritual in order to merge the realms together. And that merging of the realms killed hundreds of thousands of people. All over Corvair.
We murdered people.
No. Strahd murdered people. Strahd
We let
murdered
them
a
get
lot of
murdered.
people.
How did
Not really.
if he was
Okay.
jumping back into Karnath, what was the thing that killed people across Corvair?
He basically floated above a lake and dropped a boulder into it. And that ripple effect affected all of Corvair. It affected Markdar, it affected the Lazar principalities. You had airships fall out of the sky. You had a tower in Sharn fell.
Damn.
A tower in Sharpell.
Those things are.
Shockwave through the weave.
Ooh.
It
Oh,
But
that
it
What happened to the big
Yeah,
fucking
that's-
tree?
the tree actually died when Strahd came in.
Oh, your druid teacher died.
Yeah.
The
The
creepy
tree
tree.
is
Strahd
it
killed the dick.
died in the sense that it was no longer awakened, which is one of the reasons why Valis went back and became a font of knowledge. The machinations of the three, the architect, the dreamer, and the engineer, were thwarted by you all. And in your lifetimes, you are never accosted by them again.
Was it just final, or was Liamon's death heroic?
Well, Liamin was actually a silver dragon
Yeah.
of the chamber. His brother was Augenvost.
Yeah.
He died. He had a very, very powerful battle within his building, which was again its own little pocket dimension that nearly killed him.
Mhm.
The next assassin that came finished him off, because he was forever destroyed by that battle.
Yeah.
Because he literally had to fight a half dozen vampires powered by Strahd with magic. And
Good on
they murdered him. He killed those 6, and it took the actions of a regular sneak thief to finish him off.
Okay.
What were our former characters doing in Seer?
I'm sorry?
Kyle's mind's former characters. What were they doing in Seer?
Okay, yeah. So that was another
Right.
path that you guys could have taken, but you guys had to stay within the Mournland in order to help them. But you guys decided to flee immediately and get out of the Mournland. If you guys had decided to stay in, you guys would have met up with Bark, Yachi, and Lorsvik, and you would have gone on an adventure with them.
For those of you who don't know,
Those are former characters from a different Eberron campaign that we ran years ago. I like having
Two of them are mine.
Yeah, I love having little characters pop up every now and again in other campaigns,
And-
just as kind of our own fan service.
and Yachi is the reason why Vince hates gnomes. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Literally, rather suck start a shotgun than play with that character again.
But yeah, there were so many different things you guys could have gone down. It could have been much more political when you guys got to Corunda Gate and Chroma Peak. It could have been much more political with that. You guys could have went after God, I don't know why I'm blanking on his name now. Eyeball.
Oh,
Nyapkis. You guys could have tracked down all of his disparate clones and killed them, and that would have done a number to Strahd's power base. But it was literally you would have had to find them all and take them all down.
So is there one still hiding in Barovia?
When you all complete this quest, Nyapkis himself goes and destroys the rest of his clones. And then he leaves the material plane for good.
Damn, as
Yeah.
promised.
He spelled jam stuff. Fuck out!
He's like,
Yeah, he pieces out completely. And he becomes nothing more than just a legend that people talk about every once in a while. But he's very quickly forgotten by those who did not know, that only heard whispers of his existence.
One of those random books at the back of the Kornberg Library.
Pretty much.
Oh, did they ever find the book that he stole?
Nope. That book is long gone, and that space stays empty.
So, question: did he ever get like the library fee whenever he beat whatever?
Well, he was forgiven for kind of saving the world, but they never allowed him back in the premises again.
Where was that book?
I am here to check out a book.
He
Get the
took
fuck out!
He gave the book to Valis.
Yeah.
Valis got attacked by the quarry creature, and it was burned. It was lost in the fire.
Oh, it's a good thing we saved that, because if you made out and we didn't save it, then like the world is burning, and a librarian comes with a fucking rifle and blows your brains out.
And John wakes you right
You
at the end.
never
You're on your
steal.
deathbed, and he just comes up and time to pay the piper, bitch.
Library fine, dude.
Cornbread for life, asshole.
right?
Does the Largo ever get easier to deal with?
No.
Oh,
If anything, it just gets worse.
Okay, no restaurant for them.
no.
I flatly refuse to go on
That's
any
written into your
diplomatic.
deal.
That was some of my favorite sessions with you guys trying to deal with them. And just pulling your hair out while you're trying to talk, while they're talking circles around you guys.
Yeah, that was.
Gnomes, man.
I love those
No.
sessions. Those
Yeah.
sessions were great.
I like it more whenever I'm sick. I can't go to the.
I'm so sorry. I can't travel right now. I have herpes?
Again?
Regrettably, we have a previous engagement in Sharn. I'm leaving now. Bye.
What
Oh
did they
no!
have this
My
snow
child is dying of a deadly
The snow
illness.
well, they become basically Cade's main force. They become his chosen within the Talenta Plains, but he becomes Lathel, and he faces a lot of resistance in returning to the old ways. But Gather Hold becomes the only permanent settlement within the Talenta Plains, and they still live their old lifestyles, but they're brought more into the future with technology, with commerce and trade and things like that. They spread out more throughout Corvair and begin trading as opposed to just being barbarians. And their sacrifice on the fields, it's called the the Shadowmount fields. Their sacrifice upon there becomes legendary. The story of their riding against the undead horde on the backs of their carvers and meeting the undead horde head on and butchering them 3-1 becomes a common story told in pubs all across Corvair.
I didn't get an owlbear.
You did not.
You didn't.
You never got your out there.
What happens to Makushla?
Ooh, yeah.
Makushla lives a fairly long time and dies of old age, as Flynn would outlive her.
Unless you start breeding her.
Yeah, no, I'll buy another.
Oh, yeah, I would assume. Yeah.
Oh my god, his kids must be scared of the fucking barn of like breeding screaming raptors.
There's
Dad, I don't want to go feed them.
there's
You
some
want to go feed
Silence
them?
of the
You want a
Lambs shit
child?
going on there. Like we don't go to that house. The bunnies go in there and they hear them scream.
Silence of the bunnies.
Flynn's like, Flynn, I can imagine Flynn telling his children, like, I am tired and I am drunk. Go feed the bunnies to Makushla and her brood.
If you are bad, you will feed Makushla.
I'll be good. I'll be good.
What
Will
about
I be
the
getting
baby?
food? Maybe.
What about the baby Makushla's daddy? You'll have to feed them too, but they're so fast.
So through our efforts,
Ask our children
have we
flying for their dear
influenced
life.
anyone in the world to rise to our level?
You guys become the stories people tell. And there are a lot of imitators that pop up that name themselves something heroic and go out and become adventurers. And many of them die heroically. But there are a few that, while they don't rise quite to your level, some of them get close. And you are, this age that you all have brought in becomes the age of heroes. Because without heroes, none of Corvair would exist.
Yeah, because I want my apprentices to succeed.
I will visit all of you on my pleasure barge / just
Are
cruise
you
ship.
now a hut?
No, I do have one since we had it for the. That's
I
what I
don't
was
know.
thinking.
After that 6th children, she might be a hot
They're just
size.
walking out.
Are you kidding? Out of the two of them, he is more of the maternal figure.
And I will bitch
Yes,
every time.
that becomes very apparent to all of you. High King Ryger is very much a very maternal and nurturing caregiver, while Triswin treats her children much the way she treats all of you.
Like,
Oh,
you're
so-
not bleeding to death. You're
so-
fine.
so
Go walk it off.
So the
I
belt
spend
of
my
giant
time-
strength. So the belt of giant strength, feeling a chancla throw across the palace.
That was just murder, like brain the child to death.
I don't have to listen to you, Mom.
Careful.
Across the whole
Some
palace,
fable
straight through
shit
one.
right there. Bam, dead.
I can see
I
the
hate
child
you,
running
Mom.
away.
I wish I was never born. Picks up a stone couch that can be arranged.
It's not that bad. No, but we'll definitely go and
I shall
visit
craft
all of you
another
on the
item for her.
airship.
The sandal of seeking.
Right.
Yeah,
The
send
sandal
everything
of
around
turning.
corners.
Good job.
If you ever bring that airship into the wood, I will bitch the entire time it's there until you remove it.
Yeah, so then I'll bring you to
Old
the
man
wood.
bitches at Cloud.
Yes.
Yes.
Tristan, and you'll find a little bit contraption up there. Unholy as it is.
Does anybody have any other questions for me before I wrap this up?
I think
With the
Bach.
What about my cult, my stalkers?
Come.
We'll have to get to that in the one shot.
that's the first one shot.
If we ever make
Hilford.
shirts, they should be that.
does he ever break out on his own?
You mean your ramp?
Hilford.
Oh,
Or
no,
is he,
not
or
really.
Is he still with that same?
Yeah, nothing really changes with him. Like he eventually settles down and starts a family, but that's it.
Okay.
Did I paralyze the dude that suplexed onto the giant wooden table when me and him were beating the shit out of people on the outside war fight?
No, he would have been healed.
Oh.
Yeah, he would have
They've got druids around to have regeneration. He's good.
been.
Because we beat the shit out of
Any,
those
any other
people.
questions anybody's got?
I think we're good.
All right, guys. Once again, I want to thank each and every one of you, Paul, Kyle, Paul, Nick, Sonia, and Vince, for playing with me, for putting up with me for the last 3.5 years, and finishing this campaign with me. Telling a story that I'm going to remember till the day I die. I'm going to look back at this fondly. And I hope the next campaign we run is even better.
Hey man, thanks. This has been
Yeah,
one
thank
hell
you.
of a campaign.
Thanks
Thank you for
thanks
finally
for
letting me
finishing it.
cast a 9th
Level
level
spell, right?
Right?
Well, you got a bunch of firsts with me. Your first true dragon fight, your first 9th level spell. Like, you got to fulfill a lot of D&D.
Yeah.
Being a dinosaur.
First time I had my
Being a
brain
dinosaur.
sucked out.
Being a dragon, if only for a second.
You're just freaking spoiled rotten by this because
Yeah.
your first campaign you've ever played in it lasts 3.5 years and completes.
Dang,
I've been in
bitch.
so many campaigns that have just fallen
It's
apart.
almost
for
every hallmark of a D&D campaign too.
yeah, it's going great, and then something happens outside of the game
Yeah,
that just
life.
ruins the game. Just life gets in the way.
Oh.
Life tried.
The man
Life
Dave.
tried several times to
We have
stymie
one word for
this,
that.
and we persevered.
It's like,
And I cannot wait for 3 weeks from now when we start the next campaign.
We got a name for it yet?
We are playing in the Wild Frontiers. It is my own homebrew world. I'll have a lot of information going up on it. We're going to do a couple of videos for it too. We're going to try to pull up the stops and increase the quality and everything that we're doing here. We really want you guys to enjoy the story that we're telling. We hope you guys come back and join us for all of that. We don't really, I'm not going to lie, we don't do this for you guys, the viewers. We do this for ourselves, and we just hope you guys enjoy watching this as much as we enjoy playing it.
And
Hopefully, we can get David's voice to finally sync with his lips.
Yeah, right? That would be great. At some point, that would be fantastic.
No, I kind of like it. It reminds me of old kung fu movies.
Right?
The Dragon will continue.
But once again, thank you all for joining us. We love all of you. Please like and share the videos that we put out there. Please go to our Facebook page and like Dyson Dudes, like David's Towels and Terrain, like Military Gamer Supply and Game Vault and all of these other things for us. Help us spread the word for the community. Let's build this up. Let's make something together. Let's have a great time while we do it too. If you guys have any suggestions or comments or anything, please throw them our way. We understand we're going to be getting some bad comments too. That's just the way the internet works. We're fine with that. So, we love you all. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll be back next week with something a little different. We hope you guys join us for that too. Remember, keep rolling them dice. Good night, everybody.
Night, guys. Thanks for the fun.
Bye.